Actually, you can draw on with a pencil because you forget where you are if you're on a big piece, okay? So basically, because I want it spread the blue everywhere, I want to expose every single point of the fabric. So I'm picking it up at every point, all the way around, like that, all the way around the circle there.
Yep.
Yeah? So now it's going to be there, and it's going to be all the way around the circle. So now I can put the blue, I can put the zigzag on if I want to, and make
How do you hold this?
Yeah, well, you see that, like I said, you can put the elastic bands on there if I want to. I can just do that, zigzag pattern. Here, this was, you can see the bands of white going around like that. That's elastic bands in lines like that. Okay. To make this one, you fold it the same way, but she's going to put the sticks out. แล้วก็อย่าลืมไอ้หินด้วย because this is even slices, so it would be very sensible to make it exactly in quarters, like that, so that you can then put a stick to tie that there, and that there, and that there. So there's different sizes of sticks. There's a thinner stick, there's thicker sticks.
Yeah, depending on the width of the line you want to make.
Right, the line that you want to make. So basically you put it on both sides like that, and then you, using the elastic band to hold it on both sides of that. I'll just do it loosely first, and then you can tighten it up, right? So that you get it very, very, very tight, squishing it down. And see how the zigzags a bit. So basically, with that one has been made so that there's a line going this way as well. Yeah, and then straight, and then a line going this way. Yeah, where you want to have the line. So folding how you fold your fabric for your circle makes a different result. Yeah. If you want the solid white one there, I mean, it doesn't have to be in the center, it can be anywhere. Say I'm going to do it here. Essentially, what you want to do is you want to cover all of that area there. So we can use have we got small plastic bags in this set here? Yeah? Make like a washer. So you put in an elastic band first to make a washer, what we call a washer, in there, tight, like that. And then when you put the plastic bag on top, like that, you put the next elastic band on top of that elastic band, so you don't get any dye
it becomes
seeping.
secure.
It's like a washer. It stops the dye from seeping up, and this one on top must be very, very tight as well. Yeah. Okay. So you can block off areas of your fabric, but do put the washer in, because if you only put the plastic, you'll get the dye,
and it'll probably come off as well. Yeah.
It seeps in. Right. And then the one on the top corner there is what they call the star. Okay, so it's very like the ordinary circle. Very like the ordinary circle. The only difference is that before you start putting your elastic band, say this one is here, and I've done a random picking up of the edges, nothing special, just randomly trying to get it evenly like that. Before putting the elastic band, twist, make it have a twist. So the start, you get a jagged edge here. This one's got this all folded in.
Okay.
If I do this one, it would be like this, but with a jagged edge.
Mm-hmm.
So you twist it before you put your elastic band on. Then you get that kind of spiky edge to it, okay? It's quite tricky because you've got to hold the twist as you work. Hold the twist in place. And yep, and then that should have a spiky edge, so that's the star. All right, your two geometrics down the bottom there. This and this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is triangles and this is squares. So what we need to do is we need to fold. This is the square and this is the triangle. Huh? So we need to fold the fabric first, like a fan, in a concertina. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
That. And the size, of course, of the fold is completely up to you. Make a bigger fold, smaller fold, how wide the square is up to you. If it's going to be the square, then you're going to fold the square backwards and forwards to make it the same width on each side. Just backwards and forwards like this. Just backwards and forwards. And then the elastic bands chook and chook. Okay? So that's the bottom one. That's the squares. You get this effect here, okay? So this one you have the triangle, and this one is you fold it like a flag. Like they fold the flag, so that it starts off as a concertina. It's not in there. That's the pole. I'll show you in a minute. This is not in there, okay? This is so you fold a concertina to start off with, like the same as this one. Start with a concertina, but instead of folding it in a square, you fold it in the triangle. So this is here for you to use for example, because you go the long side and then the short side, and then the long side, short side. So it's like folding a flag. And then when it's done, you put the elastic bands on the two corners there. Tight. So this circle that I'm tying now is this. Yeah? Okay. So that's the triangle geometric. Now, this is the mountain road. Okay? Mountain road. The mountain road, yeah. So, to make a mountain road, oh, I've got another pin there. Make the mountain road. Draw where you want the line, because once you start putting your patterns, this is the mountain tops for me on my pattern. Once you put in this, the fabric is all screwed up and you don't know where you are. So draw on it first, and then you know where you want to have what. So say I've drawn my mountain road, I've already put those patterns in. So I'm going to follow with my hand the line that I drew. If you have nails, some people who have nails like to do this. Follow it flat on a flat surface like this. For me, I find it easier to be floating up into the air. I'm just going around like this. Just following the line that you made. Around and around. And when you get to the end, what you want to do is you want to tie this. Okay? So to tie that section off there, it's best to use string. So we have some string here. And first of all, tie it in a knot so it holds everything in place, because if you're working on your own, you need everything to be held in place. Now, you put in 2, okay? But I'm going to do, I'll put in 2, okay? Put in 2 so that it holds it in place. That's holding it in place now. Now you want to cover the width of the mountain road that you want. It's up to you. You can make a little tiny path or you can make a highway. Up to you. So you can spread out this string a little bit. Just to give you a little bit of extra width. Like that. And then you start to wind it around on top of the fabric. Like you're covering the fabric like that. See?
Yeah.
Yeah. But tight, huh? Tight, tight, tight. So you go on up to the width of the road that you want. Say that's the width that I want. It's 1 inch about. Now I come back down over on top of my previous ones. Pulling it very tight. And now I have a tail here I can tie it onto. Okay? So you make a double knot there. I'm going to make a bow because I want to untie it in a minute. Like that. And this must be hard. Huh? You
Yes,
can't
yes, okay.
press. Okay? Hard. So that's the mountain road. And you have options with this one here, for example. This is only mountain road.
It's beautiful.
Thin and the wider one, right? So you can have a play around with that. Now on this one, the design that I used to make the mountain tops is made by sewing. Okay, and how is our time? Yeah, I mean, if you make a small pattern, you might have time to do some sewing.
Okay, yes, I see.
So
So,
this is actually a Japanese piece that you see they've done the stitching all the way across the textile, all the way across, and this is created by making 2 rows of stitching across like this. All right, 2 lines of, or just lines and lines and lines if it's the whole piece there. All right.
and then you pull the
And
thread.
then you pull it up.
I see.
It's like
How do you
smocking.
get the effect of
That's
of
what
it being
happens.
so long?
Well, that's what happens.
Yeah.
So this is the effect. This is the effect of big stitching with close lines. And then if you want this, it's more like further apart the lines. You can see the joining parts there with smaller stitches and further apart lines. So you get a slightly different effect
You've
with
got
the
to
two.
think that mirror.
You've got to think what you want. So this one here is the tiny, each little point there is where the stitch went in. Yeah? And this is how far apart it is. That's quite far apart. Yeah, about 1 centimeter.
Because this is in, out, in,
Yes,
out,
in,
in,
out.
out. Yeah.
Yes. And you should draw it with, if you want lines, you can draw it with a ruler. And you don't have to do the whole thing. Like you can isolate shapes like that. See, I just used the glass, put it upside down, and I drew around with a pencil. And then I just did stitching in lines going within that shape. But don't try to be clever and go there and back and there and back. It never gets tight enough, okay? Always work with your heads at one end and your tails at the other. So that when you pull it up, it can pull up nicely, but you can also tie the 2 tails together. All right? So if you do another design, I mean, you can just do lines like this, for example. So this is the 2 lines stitched up. That's what that line looks like, single line. Yeah. But if you do happen to want a very thin line like that, and you use double thread, always use double thread. What you can do is with your last stitch, you can take off one of the threads and do one more stitch through, and then when you pull it up, you can tie it off. Okay. So if you do some stitching, draw what you want to stitch on top of, and then do some stitching, and I'll help you to pull it, because if you do a lot of work with stitching and you didn't pull it nice and tight, you're gonna lose your pattern.
Yeah, that's a shame.
And
Yeah.
it's going to be a real shame if you do a lot of work for that. Yeah. And then the final one here. This is wrapping around the pole. Okay, this one here. So wrapping around the pole. So similar to the folding of the fan before. You fold your concertina. You fold your fabric in a concertina. I here only have four folds. You can do 6 folds. 8 folds is a little bit thick, actually. 6 or 4 is about right for this width of fabric. Yeah? So once you've folded the concertina along the fabric, the next part of the fold is quite easy once you get it rolling. Is folding the triangle shape on the end first, right? And then you can feel the thickness of the edge of the fabric there. So what you do is you follow that line with the next fold. Now you can feel this thickness here, and you follow the line of that one there. So you're following the thickness of the fabric underneath. So you do this folding. And you can do it for the whole textile, like that one there is the whole textile, right? Or you can just do the end, for example. If I want to put this pattern on this end and another pattern on that end, I can do that. So say I'm going to do only half. Okay, so I just do this half here. And to hold this in place, we can do the ironing. You can do ironing, but it's good to roll it up like a bandage. And it holds the fabric in place while you're working, like that, up to there. So I'm going to do another pattern on the end. So I can just put the rest of the fabric, tuck it away for now, while I do this, And so now I'm going to wrap the fabric around the pole, and I need a small piece of tape, just a skinny strip. Across here, very small. And another one. Okay. Lovely. Thank you so much. Okay, so just using it at the top to hold the fabric in place, like that, and then rolling the pole, rather than try to wind the fabric around, rolling the pole and releasing the fabric as you go. So you just release it onto the pole at a little bit of an angle, like that. Then when you get to the other end, if it's the whole fabric, of course it's going to go all the way up here. Put on the tape on the end like that, so holding it in place while you work the next part. And then using string, and this makes these strings make these lines. Okay, right? So make a slip knot, which is basically, imagine this is a stick, a solid stick. What you're doing is you're just tying a knot around it, like that. That's all it is, very simple, like that, yeah? Like that, around there, like that. And then this one can slip. So you slip it onto the top here and pull it tight. And now you can take the tape off the top, because the string's holding it in place. Take the string off, and then you can put the tape on top of your knot so that it holds it in place, it doesn't slide around. Yeah? And the same thing now, when we put the string on, I don't want to wind the string like this, it doesn't make a good result. Roll the pole and pulling the string in one hand. Now the tighter you make it, the more white. If you have like a medium, you probably get about the blue that I have there. Okay, And the more string, the more lines, of course, that you have on the fabric. When you get to the bottom, you can take off the tape again. There. And now you go back up to the top. And when you get to the top there's a handy tail to tie it onto. So you can take the tape off and you have a handy tail to tie this off with, like that. Normally you want to make a double knot, like that, make it strong, like that. And then the last thing that you need to do is to scrunch it down. So you scrunch it down tightly onto the bottom. Don't push it off the end. Otherwise you have to start again. Of course you cut this, right? So then if you did only half, now you can pull out this section here and make another design.
With another pole, obviously.
Well, if you want the pole design on both ends.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Or you can do you can do a circle or the triangle.
Yeah, you can do something completely different.
Completely different on the other end. If you want this on both ends and not in the middle, what I recommend is that you fold the fabric in half, like this, so that you put them into
so that it's done simultaneously.
Together like that, okay? You can do that. Or you can start in the middle and have it just in the middle and have the two ends out that you do something else with, right? And then there's one final one, which is very beautiful. Very simple. It's called Python. It's very, and some people think it looks like waves. It's very nice, very easy design. See that we stitched the cloth, so there's the right side and the wrong side, yeah? So I want the right side to have more of the design on it, so I'm going to have it facing outwards. And we stitch this with cotton thread, because if you stitch with the ordinary synthetic thread, the dye doesn't take it so well. So here it's invisible. So you can lay it down, whatever. You could put it on the end of here, for example, whatever. I use a paperweight to hold it down. And then, using a string, where's that? Okay, using a string, I'm going to roll the fabric around the string. And tight is very nice. You get very detailed design, and the weight is helpful because once you start getting up the side part here, it's hard to make it even. And you can stop here or wherever you want, how far you want to go with it. This one went all the way up to the corner, so it went up to here like this, like that. And then I bring the two ends together, take the weight off it, and then all I do is pull it like that. And then it scrunches it up. So what you want to do is to make it really, really, really tight. This is, push it down so that you get a nice tight, and then tie that in the knot. Yeah? So it can be on the end of a textile, like it doesn't have to be on the corner. Could be on the end like that, and you can go rolling around. Or it can be in the middle. You fold the fabric in half, and then you have the ombre effect coming to both ends. Actually, it's endless. Yes, and so you can have some fun. So the small piece, we each get a small piece. I think that with the green, maybe ones that did these lines, so this and this line with the sticks, just by folding the fabric like that, right? In the concertina, and then I just put the sticks across it. Yeah, and just put the sticks across like that, right? So when it was first dyed the first time, the white was put on, and the yellow, right, like dyed in the blue. Okay, then after coming out of the blue, this one was taken off. These two are staying because they're white, right?
And it was put into the
Stay.
yellow, yeah.
And then I covered the blues, right? Covered the blues, and then it was put into the yellow, right? So you think a bit for your 2-3 color one, a simple design, not something too complicated. But then for your longer piece, you can do, it'll be just with indigo and white. So do a different design for that, yeah?